Hello everyone, how's it going? So The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1 finally dropped. I wanted to watch it twice and get my ideas sorted out before I constructed a review. Now I'm just speaking word of mouth, nothing written down. And well, I came in this with an open mind, and I would say I was surprised. First off, it's clear they did take some feedback from the video game and they're attempted to shift the narrative a bit more to better improve the pacing. So first off, this will contain spoilers. I am going to go full throttle into this. And just for perspective, I have platinumed every version of The Last of Us, not except for the PS4 version because I need the multiplayer trophies and I wasn't going to pay for PlayStation Plus. But yeah, I played this series extensively, and well, I wasn't a fan of part 2. Like, I'm just gonna put that out there. I didn't like it. I thought the pacing was terrible. I hated Abby. And based on everyone I've spoken to about The Last of Us Part 2, they haven't liked it. Now, I've seen videos of people who did like it, and I still think it was a really poorly paced and poorly written game. Sue me for that. So that's why when I came into this, I had kind of a negative attitude towards it. But at the same time, I wanted to come into it hoping that they learned from that. I know the story's still going to go the same way, but I was hoping they were going to shift certain things and make it a little more likable if that's possible. So the first positive thing that they definitely do is that they open up with Abby and her friends, Nora, Owen, and after Joel has saved Ellie from the Fireflies and killed everyone in the facility, we see how much everyone is hurting. Everyone wants to go after Joel with the exception of Owen. They got Owen's character exactly right. He's more logical, practical. Abby's just like, we need to hunt them down. We need to find them. He's like, we have a name, Joel or Joe. That's what we know. We know he's 6 foot tall, burly. And she starts listing all the characteristics that she knows. And then he's like, we don't have a car. He took the only working car. We have no idea where he's going. We have no idea which direction he went in. He just starts listing out all this stuff. He knows that Abby wants to go after him, but he also is saying we should go to this guy named Isaac who will take us in. And maybe one day we can go after him. And he's just trying to placate Abby in the best of his ability. She's still a kid here, so he understands how she feels, but at the same time, there's nothing they can do at this point, and all she wants is just to kill Joel as slowly and painfully as possible. You definitely feel for her here, and it shows how much Joel has taken away from her, but at the same time, we only get one side. It's the whole idea of the cycle of revenge. We instantly then go to Ellie Jackson, age 19, and she's fighting a guy who's basically 4 times her size, and she's somehow holding her own until we find out that Jesse and the guy were basically holding back, and the reason they were was because they were afraid that if anything happened to her, Joel would kick their ass. And this one scene basically confirms all the issues that myself and a lot of people had that would probably be problematic in season 2, and that is that Bella Ramsey simply cannot play a 19-year-old Ellie. Look, she's, despite being older, Bella still looks like a 14-year-old kid. Like, she tries to come off as intimidating, she tries to make faces that make her look more aggressive, and she can't do it. It reminds me of Jennifer Lawrence from The Hunger Games, where she tries to act intimidating and she tries to convey faces of violence and aggression. She can't do it. It's simply like throughout the entire episode, it's very clear that all of the worries that fans had were 100% true. She cannot come off as an intimidating Ellie. Look, I get that Ellie is not supposed to be that big and strong, but she comes off as very violent. Like, when she's angry, you see it in her face. Like, in the video games, the facial recognition is absolutely amazing with that, with conveying all those feelings. Bella doesn't have any of that. Her face is just so youthful. Her body is extremely small, even by Ellie's standard, that she's like a puppy. Like a puppy that comes, like, if you've seen a YouTube video of a puppy or a kitten tries to act intimidating, you're just looking at them and being like, oh, yeah. And it doesn't help that the fact that she tries to fight a guy who's 4 times her size and then tries to act intimidating to Jesse, who's also like twice her size as well. I will say, if you're worried about Jesse's casting, they did him justice. Like, here, he comes off as more human. Like, one of my biggest issues in The Last of Us Part 2, among a lot of things, was the fact that Jesse just felt so inhuman. For those who don't know, basically, his ex-girlfriend, Dina, almost immediately after they stop dating, she starts dating Ellie, despite Jesse being okay with it somehow. I mean, your best friend is now dating your ex-girlfriend only a couple of weeks after you broke up. That's really screwed up. He just comes off as really okay with it. He goes to help Ellie in her revenge campaign, finds out that Dina is pregnant, who, by the way, never tells him that she has his unborn child in her. He tries to save her life because Dina's at the brink of death due to the pregnancy and the strain of the mission. And Ellie almost gets Dina killed. She gets Jesse killed, definitely. And it's just the way they wrote him is that they hated this guy. Like, if you play the game, you realize how much the writers really did not like Jesse. And Ellie and Dina just treat him like garbage. So here, he at least somewhat comes off as more human, because during the dance hall scene, which I'll get more into later, where Dina and Jesse have broken up again, apparently they've broken up several times. This time, Ellie thinks they're just going to get back together. Jesse just says, not going to happen. Dina then just comes straight to Ellie, asks her to dance without even acknowledging Jesse, and he just leaves in a, like, very aggressive way, which is really screwed up. And honestly, I'm glad for that, because it shows that he's annoyed by this. Like, you just don't even acknowledge me. You go and start dancing with one of my friends. Like, I really hope that they at least paint him as a really, like, as a human person in this season of The Last of Us. I know I went a bit deep into that, but we'll get more into, like, that dance hall scene later. But I do like the fact that they started to give him more human aspects. So next up is the scene where they go on patrol, and they mixed it up a little. First off, a really good point they made is they made Kat, who was Ellie's ex-girlfriend, a more prominent character. For those who don't know, Kat was the first person Ellie ever told that she was immune. In fact, the tattoo she has was given to her by Kat. She gave it to her after she revealed that in order to cover up the burn wound that she was saying that was a burn wound instead of the infection that never took hold of her. But here she has a more prominent role here. Interesting fact, and no one's going to convince me otherwise of this because it just lines up too perfectly, is that after Ellie started dating Kat, despite being friends with Dina, Dina basically shut her out of her life and was extremely mean to Kat the entire time they were dating. And this is in the video games. And then Dina starts dating Jesse, who's best friends with Ellie. And then after they break up, Dina starts trying to get with Ellie. So my theory is that Dina just dated Jesse in order to get closer to Ellie, and the second that she found out she could get close to Ellie, she completely dumped Jesse and went straight for her. Like, it just lines up too perfectly for it to be a coincidence. Either way, they go out and patrol, and they start, like, not taking it seriously, despite Jesse saying that you have to take this seriously. Don't go after infected if they're anything larger than a clicker. Make sure that you follow the rules, go through the procedures. But Dina and Ellie being like, oh no, we've done this hundreds of times, we know what we're doing, whatever. And they don't take it seriously. At first, I'm a bit annoyed about this, but they're 19 years old. They're young adults. Of course, they're going to pretend like they know everything. They can do everything. They don't need to take this seriously. Even when they fight a clicker, they're making it seem like it's a game or something. They look at a bottle of Bud Light, and then she's making faces like, just kill her, just do that. And after they execute them, Ellie falls down the convenience store, and then she gets ambushed by a stalker. I will say that this is actually a really cool scene, because not only does the stalker look freaking amazing, it made me realize they never encountered stalkers in the first season of The Last of Us. In the video games, they do. Like, Joel encounters stalkers, he's fully aware of what they are, but in this version of The Last of Us, they don't know what stalkers are. They've never encountered them, so when they find them, Ellie's completely freaked out. The thing is not charging her, it's being tactical, and the design of it is so freaking cool. It's amazing. And it just starts, it bites down in her stomach, it seems like it's sucking out her guts. It's really disturbing and well done. So when they go to the council, which composed of Tommy, his wife, and other people, they're like, what is this thing? What are you talking about? And Ellie starts to explain it to them. By the way, Tommy, they shifted a little differently in this version. Now he has a son, which would be interesting. I'm gonna see how that executes, because if you play the games, you know what happens to Tommy. So yeah, he has a son now. So I thought that was actually a pretty cool twist. Now he has something more to deal with if he plans to go after Joel's killers. Like, he has a son now to take care of. Is he still going to take that into consideration? Another thing they kind of changed is the fact that Ellie and him go on a shooting trip together instead of during winter instead of spring. I don't know if that's going to change anything. I'm trying to get my thoughts in order about what else happened here that's way different. No. Oh yeah, Joel's therapy session. So instead of Joel talking to Tommy about what happened, he's talking to a therapist. And they basically just summarize and Abby's entire motive with the therapist. So the therapist is being paid by pot from Joel, and they start talking about the same things. He's like, I'm a good person. Why is Ellie drifting apart from me? I don't know what's going on. Dina's behaving more like a daughter to me than Ellie. Dina actually came to him and asked him, why does she hate you? What's going on? And they get this little moment, and the therapist just calls him out for his shit. She's been doing this for so many years. She's just like, I know you're lying to me. You're not telling me the truth. And she just decides to tell him something huge in hopes that he would open up. She's like, you killed my husband. So her husband died a year before, and this is the first birthday she's had celebrating without her husband. And Joel had to kill him because apparently he was infected. At least they hint at that. And she knows why he had to do it. She understands why he has to do it, but she hates him. She hopes one day she can forgive him, but she hates the fact that he's in their house and she does not have her husband and you killed him. And the worst part about it is that after you killed him, you walked around town like nothing happened. For her, it was like the worst thing in the imaginable. It's basically the Abby situation, only from the therapist's perspective. And she just looks at him with the most the therapist did a great job. She's about to cry. She has a mix of rage, anger, and sadness all through her eyes. That's why I'm saying, like, Bella doesn't do a good job. This therapist in that one scene conveyed all the emotions that she does not or can't. I don't know. It just once you see an actor actually do it, you see what she's not doing. But either way, the therapist is like telling Joel, like, you did this to me and I feel nothing but anger and rage towards you. And now you tell me the truth about why Ellie is not talking to you so I can actually help you. She's like, I will help you. But Joel simply doesn't want to say it. He just tells her, I saved her, and walks off. Which is something Joel 100% would do. That's literally, to his eyes, he saved her. And a lot of people, including myself, would agree. He did save her. But to Ellie, he didn't. And instead of opening up about that to the therapist, he just walks off. But it's a really, really well put together scene. And as I stated, it really highlighted what Bella just doesn't have. She can change. Later on in the series, in the season, maybe it'll get better. But for now, it doesn't look very well. It doesn't look good. So as the episode continues, we go through all the same situations up into the dance hall situation. Joel comes to visit Ellie before the entire dance hall. He starts trying to talk to her, connect with her, and he, like with the therapy session, once things get too rough, he decides to just excuse himself. He goes, grabs the guitar that he feels like is out of tune. He just wants to find something that will excuse him on his behalf, and he leaves Ellie. Ellie then goes to the dance hall. She sees Dina dancing with the same guy who kicked Ellie's ass, or pretended to lose to Ellie. And Jesse just comes up and starts talking to Ellie, completely plastered. And you can see Dina's just having the time of her life dancing, and Jesse's just looking so annoyed. And the Jesse actor is doing such a great job. He definitely feels like a human character, way better than the video game, where he's just like, oh, I'm so happy, I'm so go-lucky, everything is great right now. Here he actually feels like a normal person who's frustrated that his girlfriend, who he broke up with like a couple of weeks ago, is just like dancing like nothing is happening. She comes up, decides to ask Ellie to dance. Ellie goes to dance. Jesse leaves in a huff, and they share a kiss. Basically, Dina exposes how much she wants to be with her, how much she likes her. They kiss, and the bigoted sandwich guy who comes out, and I really think they should have kept that scene out. Like, that was also a very divisive scene within the core game. Like, with everything that's happening in this world, fungus zombies that will eat anyone on sight, bandits, your settlement literally not having enough shelters in order to accommodate everyone. I will say they did a really good job of conveying that. They're taking in so many people who need help, from destroyed settlements, refugees, failed military camps, and they just don't have the shelters. And Tommy and Joel are working around the clock to build homes and everything. And Joel literally says, hey, if I would have turned them all away. And he's like, yes, I want to help as many people as I can, but if the lifeboat is literally about the top side, you have to turn some people away. I do like the fact they kind of addressed that. It seems like they have enough food, but it's just the shelter that's the problem. Either way, it's just like with everything that's going on, why would you care about two girls kissing? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Like, I grew up in a low-income neighborhood. I went to ghetto schools, literally, where people would beat the crap out of each other because you were, like, a different shade of black. But I don't know. I feel like where everything that's happening right now in this world, that would be the last thing anyone would care about. But of course, the scene transitions. Joel starts to shove the guy. Ellie blows up on Joel. And yeah, that's the scene. Then the episode ends with the infected becoming aware of Jackson, because in this universe, the cordyceps infections, they start to breach out like circulatory systems, like fungal networks. So they found Jackson is now full of these non-infected people, and it seems it's calling more infected to come and raid the place, because they've been trying to destroy all the roots and reconnect water systems. So that's how the fungal tendrils are starting to come into the settlement. You also see that Abby has found the settlement, and they'll go from there. So overall, if I were to give the episode a rating, I would give it a mid 6 out of 10. Like, it's definitely a 6. It's above average. It's okay, a good start, and they definitely made some really good improvements, such as starting the episode with Abby and making Jesse feel a lot more human. But there are some things that I felt like could have done better. First off, the biggest issue is, of course, Bella Ramsey, where she simply just doesn't come off as intimidating, and I don't know, she just can't come off. Her facial expressions are just so, they're not good. And then there's also the bigoted sandwich thing, which I felt like could have been cut completely. I don't know why it's still there. That's a trivial objection. I guess they could just keep it in. I don't really care, but it just feels like so out of place considering everything that's going on. But overall, I am hopeful for this season. Maybe my opinions about Bella will change later on, but for now, right now, the number one character that I have very high hopes for is Jesse. So hopefully they do him justice, and we'll see how things go from there. So far, good start. We'll see if it executes well. So tell me what you think. Like, dislike, your choice. And that's it for me. Bye.